What's going on, everybody? My name is Machiavelli, and last week Lil Baby announced an album dropping. It was supposed to drop this Friday, but he pushed it over one more week. It's going to drop September 5th, 2025, and I got mixed feelings about this album. For the looks of it, it doesn't look good for Lil Baby at all. I don't think it's the right move for him to do, but we should just see. But I'm gonna give my opinion about it. I'm gonna say why he's digging a deeper hole than the one he's already in, and it's gonna be very, very hard to pull that out. But I think with this album, he's basically gambling his reputation. Since January, he released Wham, Who Hardest Me. That album, I think it was like the first album drop of 2025 in hip hop. It was like first week January, first couple days or something like that. And it was very hyped up. Lil Baby went on a bunch of interviews. He went on a crazy run saying, this album is like, I've been to a crazy period of my life. He separated from 4PF. Then he got a new label named Glassview or Glass Window, something like that. And, he went through a very, and all the Gunna and Young Thug, trial thing, he beefing with Gunna, so he went through a whole thing, it was a very, very transitionary period in Lil Baby's life. He was afraid for, catching a RICO case the same way Thug caught one, and he's trying to change his image. He's trying to be more, a more professional rapper instead of being like a street rapper. But by the looks of it, he really didn't manage to attain that, and the album was just so stale. It was the same Baby talk we heard back in 2022. It hasn't changed at all. It's just like Lil Baby gets a hit, and then he tries to make that song again and again and again and again and again. It's like, he's trying to make Emotionally Scarred on the Wham album. I've heard probably 4 songs that tried to mimic what he did over in Emotionally Scarred. The I Promise song, the other song he got with Rilo, and a couple other more. Is like, bro, you already gave us that message. You already told us what you wanted to say. Why do you want to do it again? But again, that's the streaming game. That's everything. But it just shows a lack of evolution in Lil Baby. Even though he could talk about different things in his life going on, it still doesn't show that he's, evolving as a rapper. We already heard everything you said. So why are we, in the same hamster wheel hearing what you already said before? Is like, it doesn't make any sense, bro. We're gonna get bored. We're not gonna listen to you anymore. He's got in trouble selling tickets. I want to see him a couple months ago over in Miami, and bro, it's like, yeah, you got bangers, bro, but none of the bangers are new. The last banger that I heard was like band for band, and was with Central C. And I believe Central C bodied that. It was better than Lil Baby, to be honest. But regardless, it's like his stage presence was garbage. I want to see Gunna a couple years ago, bro, when in 2023 when he dropped the Yeti thing, the Bittersweet tour, bro, the motherfucker had a fantastic show production. He didn't use any backup vocals. He rapped every single word. The motherfucker looked amazing. He, changed outfits, had backup dancers, had screens. He moved around. He engaged with the audience, bro. You don't see a rapper, like that. And Lil Baby, he came up with Gunna, but he's in a completely lower tier. I would say a completely different league, bro, in terms of performance. And now with music, bro, Gunna just dropped an album on Friday, and that album is pretty fire. I ain't gonna lie, it's pretty fire. And Lil Baby gotta match that, bro. They were always being compared. Lil Baby, he always sold more than Gunna, but now it's shifting. The people have chosen Gunna. Lil Baby, he might still sell more than Gunna, but the public and the public reception and the critical acclaim is going over to Gunna now. And I think he doesn't change Lil Baby at all. He probably lost that spirit, but who knows? He might surprise us. But still, he went off. He hasn't evolved anything at all, and I believe that this album doesn't do any service to him, So back in January when he had the run, when he was promoting Wham over in the podcast and the interviews, he said he had 2 albums. He had Wham, which he ended up dropping, and then he had Dominique, which was a more, deep, a more conceptual album, a more, message-driven album. And Dominique, of course, is Lil Baby's real name, and he didn't drop that, and by the looks of it right now, the Leaks album are leaks from the Wham era, from that state of mind, from that sound, from that message, because it leads me to believe it's like that because of two things. Number one, the rollout that he's doing for it right now, and number two is the features that he's chosen for that album. So the rollout right now is he's going towards streamers. He's going to Kai Cenat, Plague Max, you know, Eden Ross, all these people. And of course, it's the trend now to go to streamers. You know, they have huge audiences. But the issue is that Lil Baby knows, and he said in an interview before, that streamers, their audiences are younger people. That's universally known. You know, the streamers target that demographic of people, and they are, you know, all young, and he knows it, you know. But if he's releasing an album that's gonna be more conscious and more deep, you don't go for them to target at first. They're not gonna like your music, you know, in the first listen, because you got to pay a little bit of attention to it. It's not as attention grabbing as your previous music, you know. You got to pay a little bit more attention to it, and that's just the nature of music that got a message, you know. And if you want the kids to listen to it, they gotta be introduced by older kids, you know what I'm saying, by their older brothers or by like the influencers themselves. But it wouldn't be through a live stream, because they don't go to a live stream to get them. They just go there for to be entertained. They don't want to learn shit about you. They don't care. They just learn, okay, I want to see you dance, I want to see you freestyle, I want to see the drama, I want to see all this shit. But the least that they want to see is the message and how, you know, you're afraid to get caught on your RICO case, and how, you know, you swap labels, and how you know, you had your friend Gunna, you know, that used to write songs with you and perform on stage and used to be your best friend, and now he's nothing, you know. You don't talk about it, and these kids don't want to talk, don't want to know. But that's the type of talk he probably gonna put on the Dominique album, but that's not the audience for it. So it leads me to believe the Leaks album is not anything that's gonna booster or take Lil Baby out the hole that he's in, because the only way he could get out is by changing his sound and providing a different message to us, a different talk. And if he's doing another Wham, bro, that hole is just gonna get deeper, bro. So the only way for Lil Baby to get up is to make a Dominique, to release that album. But by the looks of it, you know, with the streaming rollout, is just not the case. And another thing that it leads me to believe why it's not, you know, gonna be the Dominique album is because it is the features he has chosen. You know, it's the same people that they are known not to make music, you know. They know not to make deep music, you know, Young Thug, Playboy Cardi, you know, the same characters, you know what I'm saying. If it was like a pure album, a conceptual album, it might have a couple features here and there, but you know, he's just choosing the same characters, the same features we've heard in all of their albums. So, you know, it just doesn't feel like he's actually pulling himself out the hole, you know. So what should Lil Baby do? I believe Lil Baby should not have dropped this album at all. I think the only reason why he dropped it, or he wanted, was to compete with Gunna, because Gunna dropped an album this Friday and he announced it the same day that Gunna announced his album. Gunna announced his album 1 week before release. Lil Baby did the same thing, but he pushed the album 1 more week, so it's releasing now on September 5th. So I believe the only purpose why he did it, he just scrapped a bunch of songs together, put it on just to compete with Gunna. And Lil Baby's known to sell more than Gunna, of course. You know, he Wham sold 140. I think Gunna, this one, like sold 80K or something like that. It's been like throughout history since the two been together, like coming up, they've always been compared, and Lil Baby's always have the commercial, you know, success. But I mean, I think, you know, when the beef thing, I believe, you know, Lil Baby just did it to compete with Gunna. But bro, you're just digging your hole deeper because the people already chose Gunna. You might sell more, but the respect or the community or hip-hop already gave it a Gunna. You know, the motherfucker is making great music. He's consistent. It's not the best music, but it's good. You know, nobody can touch Gunna right now. I believe Gunna in Atlanta is probably like top 3 right now. It's JID, and then Gunna's like 2 or 3. You know what I'm saying? I mean, Future's up there. We haven't heard Future this year, but Gunna's up there with them. You know what I'm saying? But, you know, still, I believe that Lil Baby trying to get Gunna's place is like, bro, you might sell more, but the people already chose Gunna. You know, I cannot deny, even myself, I used to be a huge Lil Baby fan. When Gunna came and ratted out, it's like, bro, you don't do that. But in terms of the music, in terms of performance, Gunna is light years ahead of Lil Baby at this point, bro. And, you know, the world's catching up to that, and they're starting to realize it. So it's up to Lil Baby just to step it up, you know. And I believe the only way for him to do it is to release the Dominique album, to tease us that, if it even exists, bro. If it even exists, you know. So I believe that's the only way Lil Baby could pull himself out the bootstraps. But anyways, man, My name is Machiavelli. This has been the video for today. Hopefully Lil Baby, listen to some of this shit. He got some master plan or something to come up, because I love this music. I grew up, like, my teen years was with Baby and shit, and I got a lot of great memories with him, man. I really want to see him succeed though. So that's just my 2 cents on it. That's my 2 cents on the situation, and catch you guys in the next video. One.